It's interesting to live in a country where on paper, the economy is doing great. But for most people, every day when they wake up, they know that this country is in a recession, if not a full-blown depression. The layoffs haven't stopped. The tariffs are continuously having their impacts all throughout society. And the prices of everything at the store have continuously risen as well. And it's starting to affect many people's lives.
I got laid off from my corporate job yesterday. And I think that this is the reality for a lot of Americans right now, and it needs to be shared because America is not doing well right now. We have a 94% prediction rate that the recession is going to come, but yet our frickin' administration hasn't even made the move to actually say that a recession is coming. And let's actually call it what it is, a depression. People can't afford groceries, they can't afford rent, they can't afford buying houses, they can't afford having babies, they can't afford having the kids in general if they already have them. We are not in a good spot, y'all.
I think one of the things we've learned from the past decade is that definitions for certain financial events don't necessarily mean that the impact of those events aren't happening, even though on paper something isn't what it is, right? So we can say that it's not a depression. We can say that it isn't a recession, although there's scarcity of jobs. The cost of living has gone up so high that people can't afford the basic necessities, and it's becoming a matter of survival for many people. Housing is at a scarcity with such unaffordability that multiple generations at this point right now are just locked out of the opportunity to buy homes. And of course, the general sentiment that things are just driving downhill, that this economy, that this nation is on its last legs, is becoming a more than common sentiment.
I know that I'm just a number in a company, but I thought I was okay. You're going to think that you're okay because you've worked there for so long or you have the right experience. Like, you guys, I have an undergraduate in marketing, a master's in business, 6 years of paid social media experience, both on a strategist and manager level. I have done people management for at least 3 years. I'm a senior level in my career. And yet, when I was hired to do a senior level role, I was forced into entry level positions. I was doing entry-level work as a senior-level strategist, all while at the same time being asked to reduce my workload with AI, and our team was having layoffs every 3 months. I should have seen it coming. I really should have. But the thing is that it was not something that I saw coming, because the day before that they laid me off, I was literally talking coverage plans with another employee who was going on leave for months. How am I supposed to sit there and not think that I'm safe in that moment?
And that's the reality of the moment right now, is that no one is actually safe. It doesn't matter if you have a tenured position. It doesn't matter if you are the very best at your job. If you have a corporate job, if you have a middle management job, your head's always going to be on the chopping block from here on out. Many of these corporations, one of the reasons that they've been having so many profits this year isn't because they've been doing great in sales. It isn't because there's more investors coming in. It's simply because consolidation of the businesses and trimming the waste, making things more productive. But what that means is laying off a vast number of people and throwing that workload on other people, or bringing in AI to replace those jobs so that they're actually not going to be coming back. We have to understand that there is a concerted effort in this country to remove humans from the job market, or at least from many of these administrative bureaucratic roles, whether they be in government or whether they be in the corporate world. It's being felt in the tech industry. It's being felt with people who are software programmers, coders, people who work in HR, customer support, customer services, and people who work in advertisement. We just can't keep up with AI, and that's the sad reality of the moment that we're in right now. And if a company or corporation sees an opportunity to leverage new technology to increase their profits, that's exactly what they're going to do, no matter who loses their jobs. And this does keep people in a kind of insecure anxiety, because you don't know what's next. And with the job market the way that it is right now, who knows what's going to happen next? And like I said, there's no reason that this is going to slow down. Multiple CEOs have already came out on mainstream media and have given interviews saying that, yeah, this is exactly what they meant to do. They want to get rid of the human side. They want to get rid of these mind-numbing jobs so people don't have to work them. But people do need to work some kind of job. And not everyone can work a blue-collar job, right? Not everyone can swing a hammer. As someone who used to swing a hammer, I can tell you, not everyone can swing a hammer. There needs to be a sense of security in our lives that if we put forward the effort into something, into a business, into a corporation, that we're at least going to be able to keep our jobs. If we can keep up with quotas, if we can keep up with corporate goals, then we should be able to maintain our position at that company. But it's just, you don't know. I actually just recently survived a round of layoffs, and it swept through our company, taking people from all ranks, honestly. It didn't matter how long they've been there. They were gone. Of course, there were some buyouts, and others, it was just their jobs were redundant. You know, the AI creep is a real thing. And like I said, for right now, it's kind of the more administrative customer service side. But I think sales is eventually going to get hit real hard too. In fact, I've seen videos out there of people they actually report to AI. They don't report to an actual human boss anymore. And I think that's going to become more normal. And of course, that's just going to displace more workers. And that's why I always say that there is a side of morality that needs to be considered as long as we're implementing new technology into corporations, into the marketplace. Because if the technology is outpacing society's ability to actually provide some kind of safety net for people who are going to be losing their jobs because of new technology, then it's just going to worsen the economy. It may not worsen the economy that we see on paper. It's not going to worsen the stock market. It's not going to worsen hedge funds and corporate portfolios, but it's going to worsen just the average life of the average American, the average person in the working class who just scrapes by and has an average job. And we realize it. This woman realizes it. You watching, you realize it. But it's not taken into consideration. That's why the rage is starting to build. That's why the anger in our society is starting to build, is none of this is actually being addressed. Everyone just sees a concerted effort to push out people from their jobs, people from their lives, and to have people from media all the way to the president spit in the face of their experience saying that, no, actually everything's going great. We're bringing in investments from all over the world. We're creating new factories. Of course, they're going to be automated, and there's really not going to be anyone working there. And we're going to keep putting up AI warehouses everywhere that's going to drive up the energy prices of people who can barely afford to live. They're going to have to pay an extra couple $100s a month on their utilities. But guess what? The economy is doing great. No, this is a two-tier system. This is a two-tier system, and what we experience and what they experience are vastly different realities. The CEO of McDonald's came out the other day on the news and talked about upper income people aren't actually being affected by the economy. In fact, they're thinking that the economy is great. It is true, for them it is great, right? But that's a small sliver of society. At what point do we stop sacrificing the standard of living for people in America and people throughout the world in general to provide excess profits for a small sliver of the population? At some point it has to happen, right? Because like I said, we all just want safety and security. And as long as the system is designed to continue to funnel assets in one direction and away from another direction, wealth inequality will only continue to build.
I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that we live in a world like this where, like, my manager wasn't even the one that fired me, by the way, or laid me off. It was frickin' HR, and they read off a script, but my whole team got laid off. And this is the reality for a lot of Americans right now. My partner is a first responder, so I'm very lucky for the fact that I can be leaning on him for support right now, because luckily his job is secure, thanks to the fact that, number one, his job is essential, and number two, he has a union behind him. What I will never understand is why corporate agencies have not unionized. We're not allowed, right? We're not allowed. That's part of it. We'll get fired because, at least in this corporate world, they're always going to side on the side of business because that's what's making the government money.
I will always be pro-union because unions were designed to protect the worker. You're the worker. You may not like unions. You may think that, you're morally opposed to them, right? You may think that it's representative of another political or economic system that you were taught to hate, but unions are incredibly important. We just got done with Labor Day. You think Labor Day was designed by capitalists? No, it wasn't. Unions protect people. They protect our wages. They make sure that we're having safety standards. They make sure that we're not having our hours and our labor be abused. The one reason that they're essentially banned in the corporate world is because it would disrupt the flow of profits and make sure that each worker at these corporations, at these companies, actually get a piece of that. Actually make sure that their wages match inflation. There's a reason why in the blue collar world, union jobs are so great. And if you are thinking about going blue collar, definitely look into being an apprentice at a union, because it can definitely set you up in your future. And I find it to be abhorrently hypocritical that most tradesmen, most blue collar workers, always vote in a direction that is essentially anti-union. The only unions that they support are the ones that they already belong to, or the auto workers unions, the big ticket, big name unions, but ignore the corporate world, thinking that, oh, these are just white collar jobs with spoiled, privileged people who make a lot of money. But most people who work in the corporate world make $45,000 to $55,000 a year, which isn't really enough to live. And they would greatly benefit from a union. Right? There wouldn't be these massive, unforeseen layoffs happening. People would have that sense of security in their jobs that they should expect when they put in years and years and years and effort into a specific company or corporation that's resulted in their profits going up. That's what unions do. They protect you and they make sure that you're getting a piece of the pie that you're baking.
This world right now is not supporting people. It is supporting business. You are just a number, unfortunately. So please, prepare yourself for shit like this. I wish I would have. I wish I'd been applying to other jobs months ago. I just was so dumb to not realize the signs. I want to talk about it. I think people need to talk about it. I think we need to make this more public. We all saw the jobs report. It was awful. Getting laid off on the day that the jobs report goes out, and it's 22,000 instead of 75,000 new jobs. You know how discouraging that is? If you know of anything in the marketing space, let me know. Use my comments as a way in which to maybe trauma dump. I don't care, vent. I'm here for you guys. I can't believe this. And I'm really sorry if you're going through this too. Here for you.
And one of the worst places that American people are in right now is that there's no way that you can vote yourself out of this, because both parties, in the end, are corporate. Both parties, they always support lobbyists and corporate interests. There's only a couple politicians out there that I truly support. I do love Bernie, right? I used to hate AOC. I used to not like her at all. Coming around to her, honestly. Then it's not because of them. It's just because they're the only people, whether you like them or hate them, that are actually talking about normal people, that are talking about unions, that are talking about some kind of redistribution of wealth, which is absolutely necessary at this point. Because if we don't, eventually we're just going to lead to a Romanesque style of prescriptions. And that's not something that I think Americans really want to stomach. But I mean, the idea of sacrificing the wealth of billionaires to help needy families across the country right now, as things get more desperate, is going to seem more reasonable, right? It's going to. But this country's failed. This country's failed its people. It's failed us. It's failed me. It's failed you. It's failed my infant son. He's going to have to fight so hard just to make a future for himself. Just like if you have children, your children will as well. And as much as we can try to build, as much as we can try to earn and provide them a future, all we have to do is look at the numbers. All we have to do is look at the trends and understand that that's going to be an incredibly difficult thing, almost insurmountable for most families to actually achieve any kind of success that would guarantee the safety and security of their children in the future. To hand down any kind of generational wealth at this point, the whole system is designed to take from you. And so that's not even possible. Make things so difficult and make things so expensive that, one of the few things that people do have, which is equity in their homes, that gets traded off for a more gentle last few years on this earth before you shuffle loose the mortal coil. But something does have to change. Fundamentally in this country, something does have to change. The only question is, of course, how? When the system has no desire to change because the system isn't for us, then at what point do people start abandoning that same said system? We already know that many Americans are already looking for opportunity in other countries, but what about those who can't leave? What about those who stay? What can they do? There's a kind of minimalism in our lives that we can try to appreciate, but you can only whittle down your lifestyle so much to protect yourself from the rising costs, because eventually those costs will rise to the point where even a minimalist lifestyle isn't enough to actually save you from the consequences of economic failure. Unless we can have some kind of unionization of corporate workers throughout the nation and across the globe, I would say, we're going to continue to have these kind of problems. We're going to continue to have this kind of job market insecurity. And without any kind of regulation that's slowing down technology, just enough to the point where we can actually integrate these systems in a way where people have time to adjust their careers and lifestyles, things are going to continue to hammer the average people in America. And that's something that average people in America are already dealing with. So how much can we be hammered? How much abuse can people take? How much time goes by while no change happens before people have decided to have enough? Definitely something to think about. If you're still here at this point, like and subscribe. Always think about a donation. I guess this channel runs off people like you. We appreciate your support as always. You can always put something that you want me to talk about in the comment section, of course. We do that from time to time if there isn't some kind of pressing issue in the economy that we have to talk about. But at this moment right now, the economy and all the benefits of this country and of modern society seem to be slipping through the fingers of people, even in one of the most basic core things that we have in our life, like our jobs. So thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a good one.